Firstly, a huge welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so delighted that you're able to spend some time with us this afternoon. We have a pretty exciting agenda ahead. So I'm just going to ask Fergus to click on the next slide. And this is now where we're getting into the swing of having Fergus look after our agenda. Thank you so much. So we're going to be going through a number of different areas. We're going to be looking at the overview of Pitch121, but from the perspective of the things that we have learned over the past sort of 4 or 5 years, and how the landscape has changed and really where we are heading. And that's going to be really, I think, quite a fascinating conversation. And I know both Fergus and Laura have got some really exciting things to share. We're also, obviously, as LinkedIn experts, we're going to be concentrating and looking at LinkedIn. So I know it's going to be of quite a lot of interest to many of you on the call today. And we're also going to be applying that to different use cases so that you can see yourself in each of these different scenarios. We are going to make this as interactive as possible. So throughout the presentation, we'll be asking you to also say hello and join the chat and answer a few questions and things like that. We really just want to make this fun and engaging and interactive for everybody who is here today. Now, without further ado, what I'd like to do is also introduce our panel, because you'll see that there's a few members of Pitch121 here today. So obviously you'll all probably know nearly everybody on this slide. Fergus and Laura are both our co-founders and will be doing the main presentations today, but supporting me in terms of the chat and answering questions and things like that. Alan and JP will both be joining me today. Alan is our Chief Customer Officer. Previously, he was our fabulous Editor-in-Chief, still fabulous, by the way, and has been with us for 3 years. JP has also been with us 3 years and is our Senior Client Director. And I'm sure many of you have already spoken to JP and have had some really interesting chats. And today I was actually learned an interesting fact about JP, actually, that you fell off a mountain in India. So if anyone wants to find out why.
Washed off a mountain in India, washed off.
Apologies, washed off a mountain in India. So if anybody would like to find out why, then I would encourage you to reach out to JP and have a chat. So as we go through, I just want to double check, can everybody see the chat window? Because that's going to be quite key to today's event. There should be a hello, so if I just type hello in there. I know that you have all said hello as you've been coming in, but if you want to introduce yourselves, please do just pop that in the chat. So can everybody see, and can you see the screen and everything is okay? Yeah, okay. Well, then I think my last slide is really just to ask if you've got any questions before we proceed and before I hand over to Fergus.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Effie. Now, I'm just going to check the chat to see if we do have any questions before we kick off. But good to see you, or great to see you all, in fact. I've been really looking forward to this for weeks now, just to share with you our insights really over the last 5 years it's been up and running, but specifically there's been huge changes in the last year that we want to share with you today. So we want to make this as value packed as possible. Before I start, I just wanted to make sure that Laura and I today, we're actually tailoring what we're going to cover and the detail just based on really where your goals are sitting for next year. So if it's okay with you, I just wanted to get you to pop in the chat. I've got 4 kind of questions for you. So the first thing really is, in terms of your focus, is the main focus and what you'd like to get out of today, is it to talk about how you can increase your own company's brand awareness within key accounts for customers and future customers? If that is the main thing that resonates, please put marketing into the chat. If it is you've got long sales cycles and you want to shorten those sales cycles and bring on board bigger accounts, please put sales into the chat. If you want to more consistently hire top talent and lure them away from your competition, but basically do it at an economical level, please put talent into the chat. And then finally, if your focus is really on retaining your customers whilst growing them from within, please put customer within the chat. So we have sales, we have marketing, we have talent, and we have customer. And what we're going to try and do live with Effie's help is sort of top them all up, see which one wins, and then make sure Laura and I are talking a bit more about that than anything else. So we've got quite a bit of marketing and sales and marketing. And then we have one talent as well. So I think, Laura, I think that's pretty clear to me. I think it's clear to you.
Yep.
Sales and marketing is the order of the day.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, great.
All right, lovely. So first and foremost, this event today, the customer events, our first one, and particularly exciting, is going to be very valuable for you if you kind of fit into one of these sort of three areas. The first one is if you're actually selling into mid-level companies through to enterprise level. There's many different ways to determine what that is, but we define it as deal sizes of sort of £50,000 a year plus. If you have multiple stakeholders within your buying process, both decision makers and influencers, today's going to be interesting. If you've got long sales cycles, if you're in a very competitive space, but also if you need a high degree of trust from your buyer with you and your company before they come on board, please listen out, because there's going to be some useful things for you to hopefully note down today. For those of you today with marketing teams, this will be particularly interesting if you're producing regular content and you want to amplify the reach of that content, and you want to get more people viewing it and more people aware of your company. Particularly useful if you've got a clear idea of who your demographic is and your personas that you're looking to engage with and target. So marketing teams, there's a lot of relevancy there. And then finally, if you have a whole bunch of people within your company on LinkedIn with a low level or no level of activity, and you really want to elevate some of those people within your business to help you with some of those key objectives we just talked about, then this definitely is going to be of interest. So we really want to talk about going forward and what's going to work in 2023 and beyond, particularly with the economic challenges that we all face. Just briefly, in order to go forward, we'll just go back for a minute or so, just to take you through really what we've learned in the last 5 years, the changes that we've seen, and there's been so many in those 5 years. And as I inferred earlier, particularly in the last 12 to 18 months, and then also what that future is going to look like and how you can win in that future as well. So when we first set up as a business, we did it with our eyes wide open, knowing that predominantly the platform that we're working alongside is LinkedIn, and we would have to change as quickly, if not quicker, than LinkedIn to keep pace and stay ahead. So we have seen incredible changes in user behavior over the last few years. The pandemic particularly has brought more people onto the LinkedIn membership, but also there've been more active people than ever on LinkedIn. The LinkedIn Premium Services Sales Navigator is unrecognizable from 3 years ago. And then also LinkedIn as a content platform, again, is almost unrecognizable to what it was doing 4 or 5 years ago when we first had the idea for Pitch121. So when we started, it was an age where, believe it or not, there was not a lot of automation going on LinkedIn. And it was in the days when you thought of spam immediately, your brain went to email. It possibly still does, but certainly message sequences were not as well known, and they weren't a common thing. So that's one message after another after another. And then the LinkedIn inbox was certainly a lot less busy. So in that time, what we want to share with you today is the unique lens that we have now of engaging with over 500,000 people through LinkedIn. And there's been a significant amount of pain, if we're honest, along the journey. Pain in terms of what wasn't working and what worked. So that is by geography, by job title, by sector, by pretty much any filter you can see on LinkedIn. We've been testing, adapting and improving to make sure we're getting traction in the right way at the right time. Also, what we've learned, which we want to share, is the fundamentals companies need to have in place in order to succeed beyond their own network of referrals. So our experience a lot of the time is our clients have been very successful growing their business through their referral network. It is a completely different ball game when you're then going out to people and businesses who've never heard of you before. So talking about some of those key fundamentals to have in place. The other things we've seen that trust in company brands on the whole has diminished, and trust in and the influence of individuals within those companies has really been on the rise dramatically. So when we look forward to the future, all of this really has been building to need more focus on finding better and more authentic ways to pull and draw your audience to you, rather than push out messaging and interrupt your audience's buying process or their journey. We also see a future ahead where all of your interactions, obviously our focus here is on LinkedIn, but all of your interactions will be based on intent signals or triggers first. And by that I mean you will have done something that your audience will have shown an interest in, and it's only off the back of them showing some form of nominal interest. Could be a profile view, could be liking content, lots of different things. It's on that mutual basis that you're then engaging with them, and that's really from a place of warmth more than anything else. And then finally, the future is whether you like it or not, is content. Content. So being more creative, relevant, valuable, interesting, drawing people to your profile and having conversations from there. And by the way, as we go through this, if you do have any questions, please pop them in the chat. We want to try and make this as interactive as possible. We can maybe pause in the middle, or there's certain sections at the end. Is your microphone clear? Voice not 100% clear. Is that me? Let's see if I can improve that. Might just be my voice, Laura. I'm coming out of the cold. That would be the embarrassing thing. It's actually my squeaky voice. I had a terrible cold on Saturday and Sunday. I was hoping by Wednesday I'd be fully recovered.
That's
I'll
clearer.
get closer.
Clearer.
Yeah, sorry. I'll get closer to my laptop. So if it looks like my neck is craning forward like a giraffe, you know why. All right, thank you. So why LinkedIn? Very quick snapshot. Last 5 years, its membership doubled. We're now at just over 822 million members, coming up to 1 billion, we're certain, in the next couple of years. The number of organizations has tripled, gone from 18 million to 56 million within the last 5 years. And so what's also increased, it's worth being aware of, and I know our interest really is in the sales and marketing elements today, is also the use cases beyond that, where LinkedIn is proving to be an extremely strong channel where people haven't really considered it in the past. So that would be for partnership programs, if you've got them running within your business or want to run them and cascade messages to the wider company and stay front of mind and create ongoing relationships with them. Also, particularly with existing clients, the external stakeholder management and managing that communications across multiple divisions, the talent case we've talked about, and getting best of breed quality candidates into your business and coming to you and knocking on your door. And then finally, the employee branding, which hasn't really been a number one focus of the business to this point, but certainly is more important than ever to raise the profile of your key employees within your business. So looking forward, there's some interesting things that have changed. Firstly, people are using LinkedIn differently, and they are now using it for industry content. Now, Pete Davies is one of the top guys at LinkedIn on the product management side. And he's really focused around the LinkedIn newsfeed. So he's kind of, him and his teams are helping design that. And what he says is that they're really looking for the feed to be all about presenting people that you know, talking about the things that you care about. And that's why 91% of execs are actually going to LinkedIn as a source, is because it is pretty clever now at filtering out a lot of irrelevant stuff and actually presenting you with more of the things that you've viewed, you've liked, you've engaged with, and of contacts who are close to you. So this is particularly of interest for high ticket sales, where you need content to support the buying journey when they're doing their independent research. It's also interesting as the enterprise level selling process has got more complicated. And 5 years ago, for example, the average number of buyers within an enterprise deal was just over 6. Now, 5 years later, it's well over 10 buyers. So there's more people involved in the decision. That may explain why the sales cycle on average is longer. So providing relevant content from relevant people within your organization has become more important than ever. And this leaves us with a great opportunity that we want to share and get you excited about, is that of all of the activity that's going on in LinkedIn, still only 3% of people are actually regularly posting. So that's posting once a week or more. And that's unbelievable because there's over 9 billion content impressions on LinkedIn per month. So if you can imagine, in terms of market share, 3% of the membership base is pulling in 9 billion content impressions per month. So within your niche, within your industry, that leaves you with a huge opportunity to start gaining eyeballs on you, on your business, and the problems that you solve. Then a few final bits of information, stats from me that I thought you'd appreciate is, we've known this for a while, and it depends on your perspective, I guess your philosophy. 9 out of 10 decision makers don't actually respond to cold outreach. Now, if we were a pure play lead generation company, just focusing just on the leads, we'd probably focus on the 10% that do. But now more than ever, we know that we don't want to be annoying your treasured future customers. And most of the people that we've been working with don't want to cannibalize their market. They want their brand reputation to stay solid, and they don't want to be known for sort of spammy behavior. So this is much more about starting conversations than sort of broadcasting information. So I thought that was interesting. And then finally, as of 2022, this is really what's evolved and where we are at, particularly when thinking about LinkedIn. So individuals, more so than ever, have the power. Typically, their networks are 10 times larger than the average company page has followers. The employees also, when they share content, it's 3 times more trusted than that produced by a company, and also has a click-through rate which is twice as high. So what this is telling us is actually there's a huge power in your employee network. So this is really for us what the future looks like. So knowing what we know now, leading with just one profile, which typically was the CEO or typically was the MD, in an organization to gain traction, awareness, and do all the things that we know you want to do, just isn't cutting through the noise now. And you need, as much as it used to, you need to really look at empowering your employees so that you're gaining the power of their own networks to gain traction and allow you to stand out. So some of you may know this as brand advocacy. Some of you may have come across corporate influencer marketing or account-based marketing. The way we think of it is as employee advocacy. And yeah, get really excited to pass you over to Laura, who's going to explain more about what it is and why it's something that you want to be thinking about for next year and beyond. So Laura, over to you.
Thank you. So I guess it's about what's different about employee advocacy, and something that we've been talking about for a long time is about having a really good quality profile, but that is so important that that's across the team, so that it just shows the experience that that person has, the value that they can add, that they're friendly and approachable, and just that there's things in there that people can relate to so that they remember you when they see you around later. And you start the relationship really well. So it's about going back to the intent signals. Sales Navigator is what we have today that is giving us these triggers and signals that are really powerful. So perhaps they've posted, we've liked to post before we've connected with them. That's a really good start. And then what we're doing is not selling to them, continuing to like their posts. They like your posts, they reciprocate, they view your profile, which is a really nice trigger for somebody to get back into the inbox and start that conversation. So it's not really forced, and it makes the connection much more authentic. What makes it even more authentic is when it's peer-to-peer. So the marketing connects with the marketing people at your target market, the sales to the sales, the tech to the tech. And it just means that you're known across multiple departments so that you become the obvious choice when that organization is looking for your kinds of service. So this is a world away from messaging thousands of people, interrupting their working day, selling your services to them. You will find a handful of leads from doing that, people who are looking to buy, but are they your absolute ideal chosen clients that are really game-changing and can make a difference to your organization? Are they really the strategically important ones, or are they the kinds of clients that you can service and so on because they just happen to be around and ready to buy right now? So it's very focused. The approach on employee advocacy is brand awareness and then building onto that with this relationship building so that you become the favorite supplier. So when an RFP goes out, it's kind of already earmarked to you, so that when that company is ready to buy, you're front and center. And actually you've already been framing their thinking through that multi-department engagement. And so when it comes to the sort of peer-to-peer connections, we do a lot of training on LinkedIn as well. And without doubt, the biggest barrier that people tell us about why they're not doing LinkedIn is they haven't got the time. They've got other things in their day that are more important, and that perhaps they have a week when it gets top of the agenda, there's a new energy put behind it, there's a whole flurry of activity, and then get busy again and everybody's left alone. And it's one of those things, it's a bit like going to the gym. You don't just go once a month and do a 3-hour workout. You're going to really hurt from that, and you're not going to get some good results. It's little and often, and it's because consistency is key. And, I guess related to the time is finding the time to learn the right things to do on LinkedIn as well. And very often some of the things such as creating a post that people want to engage with, or connecting to somebody so that they're more likely to accept than decline. There's a bit of an art to that. And I think particularly for salespeople, some of it requires a bit of patience, and it's more like marketing your profile rather than selling, which can feel a little bit counterintuitive to some people. So they're the three things that I would say we hear the most. So there is a need for an employee advocacy service. And what it consists of is identifying your accounts and actually being really specific and having a tight number of accounts. It's not just whoever out of thousands responds. It's let's decide who you really want to work with, and then find the people who are department relevant, but perhaps be, not just connecting with decision makers, but prioritizing those people who are more active on LinkedIn, because they're the ones who are more likely to be engaging with you. And then just not selling to them, earning reciprocation points. You're liking their posts ongoing, you're building their trust with posts and putting some really interesting things out there. And when it comes to selling into enterprise, what's really interesting, and Fergus alluded to this earlier, is when you have active, what you're seeing in your feed is what you've engaged with before. And very often that ends up being your colleagues' stuff. And then that means that we're all really looking quite inwardly, and we end up talking to ourselves. But then what can happen is if you've got multiple people from your organization connected in with multiple people from this organization, and we're liking things across the board, you end up in like a mini algorithm loop with that one target customer. And that's where the effectiveness of this multi-profile happens. So it's not just a one to a decision maker and climbing yourself, sort of up that sale, but you're becoming omnipresent. So the outcome of this is a list of priority accounts that are most connected and engaged. So, this is an example of what it might look like after month 1, and it builds on month 2. And this is really useful for marketing, because if you know which companies you're most connected to as an organization to organization, then you can create relevant content for those companies, and it becomes much more specific and engaging for them. You could even co-create content with some of the people that we're connected to. Hey, would you like to make a comment on this article? Would you like to be on my podcast? And so on. And then when marketing has produced this great content, one of the pains that I hear quite a lot is, okay, we've done great content, but how do we actually amplify that and get it in front of people? So you've actually got those profiles that will amplify that content. So marketing are very keen on this, but from a sales perspective, it's pretty smart. So with sales, what you really want sales to do is really understand the customer that you're trying to sell to, so that they can create an account plan, do that kind of internal qualification. And here is a list of these organizations are more aware than perhaps others further down in the list. So let's prioritize these ones, because I'm going to be able to push that door open a little bit easier. And actually, if there's any missing information that I don't know, like maybe I might want to find out what agency they're working with, who was behind that particular campaign, then they can set up relationship calls with perhaps influencers, get that intelligence. Maybe they'll help out and refer you into the business. And then the decision makers can be approached after the research is done with something really specific. And once that opportunity is there, then you're already engaged with people who are involved in the sign-off. Perhaps the CFO has been connected to your CFO for the last 6 months, and it's a way of being able to unblock issues and shorten pipelines. So I will run on to some sort of specific case studies about the client growth, new business, and so on. But I just wondered if anybody wanted to pop into the chat or speak up about any questions on this as a process, or any particular use cases that you would like us to delve into in a bit more detail. Let me just check the chat. It's all quiet. Okay, let's move on to a few use cases. Did we see that Tin has joined us? Hi, Tin.
Sorry.
Okay, so Fergus mentioned that 90% of B2B decision makers never respond to cold outreach, and the level of automation that we're starting to see means that you have to just do a bit more to stand out. What really strikes me about what's on the screen at the moment is there is a tendency on LinkedIn to broadcast things out. You're broadcasting posts, you're broadcasting sales messages in the inbox, and it's actual conversations that works. So 76% of buyers would not be interested in being sold to by potential providers. It's about they're interested in having a social conversation. And it's that conversation and then making it specific that will get the attention. So when it comes to a new business perspective, very often it's the brand awareness piece that salespeople have as a problem. You know, then your company and your service and your product isn't known. And so, you know, you'll know if you've ever sold for a big business versus a small business, the difference when you've got brand awareness or not. And actually, I hope that Tin won't mind me mentioning that the reason that we're working with Tin and the team at Moody's is obviously Moody's is a good brand that's known really well, but then they're not known as well for compliance and KYC. And so, and that makes the salesperson's job very difficult when there's a misconception about, you know, what you're doing. And the important thing to gain this brand awareness is, you know, if you've got say the Fortune 500 kind of target list that Tin is going after, they've got an expert in supply chain risk. They should be connecting with the supply chain risk people in manufacturing. Where you've got somebody in marketing, connect to the marketers of those organizations. And so that's how you are on multiple levels gaining that brand awareness. And in the past, this sort of one-to-one situation just really meant that it's not that it doesn't work. And we've all done sales like this, where you get a little bit of a hint, you get a chat with a marketing manager, they then take it to their boss, then it goes to the board, and you have to do an awful lot of work to get that, you know, and you often don't ever get to have a conversation with the final decision maker. What you can do when you know that you've got your director connected to that director, you're trying to close a deal, then you can then be, you know, having a nice informal chat director to director, so that you're able to close those deals quicker, which means a shorter sales pipeline. So it's almost like the LinkedIn is like the groundwork. It's the awareness, it's the relationship building in order to enable your salespeople to be able to have more opportunities to close. We can go to the next slide. So I think only one person mentioned customer. I think it was you, Judy. And the growing customer I've done a bit of work with Sandler, who are a sales training company. And whenever they do the strategy with organizations that want to grow revenue, he said that 9 times out of 10, there is a huge focus on new business, huge focus. And yet where there are potential revenue opportunities are with existing businesses, and that sort of seems to not be on the radar very often within the sales and marketing team. Because new business is important. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's 5 times more expensive to get revenue from a new client than it is to get one from an existing one. So it can be much more effective to be focusing in on what you could get from existing clients, particularly retaining them in today's economy. So the way in which you could be growing existing customer revenue is perhaps deepening the relationships and taking some of the work that you do from like a one-off to something like perhaps a retainer, or being able to work within more departments or more geographies. Gramafilm are a video marketing agency, and they really spring to mind on how they were able to do this through LinkedIn. And they were lucky enough to have had their toe dipped into the water with some really big international companies, having done a small video for, maybe just a one-off for these organizations. And so their tactic on LinkedIn was to go so deep and wide within that organization that they'd done one video for, get connected in with anybody who might have a reason to put a video out, which could be internal comms, it could be marketing, it could be investor relations, and then show that organization, oh, this is the video we've done for you. And so that's really specific. It's a brilliant approach. And they have been able to grow that one project within a large organization into an ongoing retainer across a whole region. And still there's work to do, that they could be able to grow that, make it globally, get it across more regions. Sometimes you have a project and there's a natural end. And with that natural end, you're going to lose that revenue off. That's just natural churn that you might have with your business. But if you've made relationships with other departments or other geographies, perhaps you can just simply replace that revenue. So, oh, we've done it for Lucy over here in the London office. Perhaps we can do that for you over there in the New York office. And on a risk and an opportunity perspective, if you know that you have an organization that they are potentially at risk of losing, perhaps go a little bit deeper into making sure that you have more connections in at more levels with those organizations, and know who is connected to whom, and make sure that your account team know about that as well, so that wherever possible, you can be having new strands of conversations across different, and that's where having perhaps some of the leadership team connected to the leadership team can really help with clients at risk and opening up new opportunities. So on the talent side of things, I know, Heinz, you mentioned that talent is important to you. Actually, for Pitch121, we went through an exercise with our own team, getting them to optimize their profiles, and it's just part of our onboarding now. And we knew why it would be important, but it was actually surprising how much it helped us with our recruitment. What we found was the best candidates were actually sort of reading our posts as the leadership team, and so they felt like they knew us a bit, and they were getting quite sort of excited about that and meeting us. But actually what was even more interesting was good candidates actually take the time to look at who would be in their team, who are they going to be working with. And if those individuals are saying things about what they got up to in their working day, the fact that they're active at all makes them look, at least an appearance, that it's a good place to work, that they're excited about the place that they're working. I know there was a post from Princess. She just walked away at the. She doesn't know I'm going to mention her here, but things like Princess posting about how she's never worked in a place where she could be herself as much, and those sorts of things are hugely valuable to people who are considering joining your team. In fact, for every piece of content that an employee shares, at least one person will view a job listing. And so it's great for talent acquisition, but it's also good to engage your existing team. I've got some stats here. Employees at socially engaged companies are 27% more likely to feel optimistic about their company's future, and 15% more likely to feel connected to their co-workers. So I know Kirsty's here today. I hope you don't mind me mentioning how we're working together, because Kirsty and the team at the legal director actually came to us with an idea to use Sales Navigator that's normally used for new business, to actually choose the candidates that you want to work with, because you want to make sure that in Kirsty's case, they're in-house lawyers rather than lawyers working for law firms. So can we do some sales navigator filtering that tries to find exactly those people? Are they at the right point in their career that would be a good fit for this job role that you've got? And although this is alongside a normal recruitment process for the legal director, it's meant that they've been able to set up a lot of relationship calls with exactly the right people. And even if it's not the right time for them, then it's a pipeline that's building up. And it's important to stay front of mind posts about work-life balance or things that are really interesting about the industry, so that when that person is ready to make their move from their current role, that they're seen as a good alternative. So it's interesting how the legal director have been able to leverage what we would normally use from a sales perspective, exactly the same tools and techniques, but a completely different goal. Now, I know that most people are looking for sales and marketing, and a part of that, sort of a subcategory, I suppose, is partnerships. And partnerships probably doesn't come up as much as you would imagine in our conversations, because LinkedIn networking absolutely lends itself perfectly to partnerships. I think that Chris is on the call, and Chris and the team at, I don't know whether she is still, but Chris and the team at Valator had great success with LinkedIn through partnerships. By 2025, nearly a third of total global sales are predicted to come from ecosystems, so cross-industry players working together in partnerships to create solutions. Having said that, that was from McKinsey. The BPI network say 45% of execs believe that the biggest challenge when it comes to strategic partnerships is keeping them active and mutually rewarding. So K3 Business Solutions, they are a retail technology solution, and they've got a big direct sales team and a strong partnerships team as well. And they had secured a partnership with Microsoft, which is, you know, a great win. But anybody who's ever worked on partnerships will know that actually signing that partnership agreement is just the beginning of a long journey that needs to be cascaded, trained, and you need to be then brought into those clients. There needs to be that trust there as well. So K3 were able to use LinkedIn to connect with the account managers. They were the key ones that had the relationships with the direct clients, and then have relationship calls one by one with each of these account managers about what their clients' needs are and how you could co-sell the Microsoft and K3 products together. And actually the nurturing is even more key when it comes to these partnerships, because not only does it keep you front of mind with the Microsoft account managers, but also the reciprocal engagement on each other's posts indirectly would put the K3 content in front of the end client as well. So that's 4 use cases that you know, we have, you know, good knowledge about and have really enjoyed, and it's given us that opportunity to see this is where the future is and this is what is working. I don't know if there's anybody with any sort of specific use cases. I'd really like to discuss that, but I just wanted to say the very first step in this journey in terms of who are the people within your organization that would be key for you, who could benefit the most from connecting into, whether it's your customers, your existing customers, new partners, and so on. And yeah, where are they on their LinkedIn journey? So we can put together a benchmark report for your key profiles, audit them in a way that is qualitative, and score them out of 50 so that you can have a report on the areas that they need to work on their profiles, because it does start with a good profile. So very, very happy to have that as a next step. But then, yeah, on to, I guess, questions, or anybody wanting to say, have you had any experience of a certain use case, or do you think it would work in this case? So I guess more over to you. I don't know if there's any Any in the chat? Nope, none. So any questions?
Everybody is automatically muted, so if you do need to unmute yourself, please feel free to. Did you find it interesting? Was there anything here that was of particular interest? Very quiet.
I thought Judy was going to speak then.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things that we are just working with you on, which has been successful already for us, is promoting a taster session like you are doing now, that we're doing next week, and we've got people signed up, and I've even got some work, even though they haven't attended the taster session yet. So it's something that I just wanted to mention, because I've got to go shortly. I just wanted to make sure I did mention that is an idea for sales and marketing.
And how has that been promoted, Judy?
Well, Princess and her team have been writing to people who've been in touch with us, and also we've put a post up about it, you know, through LinkedIn, and I've been writing personally to all the people who have been in touch with me through the leads but have not actually had a conversation with me, you know. So it's a double reminder, if you like, without, you know, a bit different. So it's attracting people who had been I'd talked to or approached about the beginning of the year, and it's now, you know, I've got back in touch and it's having a response. So thought it's very thankful to Princess and Charlie and everybody else in the team, Rosie, who have been helping us with that. And also Fergus, by the way, because he's had a great help as well. So
oh, thank you, Fergus.
Yeah. Sorry.
It was great to see those results come through last week. So yeah, delighted for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for the mention. All right. Any it's one of those, isn't it? Any questions? Feel free to put them on chat or ask. You've got Princess and Sarah here as well, who will be mostly the account managers. So if you want to ask them maybe in other calls, you can do as well. Yeah, I think, yes, we're excited for Judy. Just read that, Princess. No, great. I think, yeah, if you don't have any questions, Effie, is there anything else you wanted to outline today at all?
Just a very, very small, well, not very small, just to say a huge thank you, because I know time is precious for everybody, and to give us an hour of your time is a huge ask. So thank you for coming along today, and I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I know we enjoyed preparing for this, and we really did. It was really nice coming together on this topic and being able to share it with you all. What I'm going to do is I've just popped actually a few comments up. There is a link that is currently in the chat, which I will email to everybody. Traditionally, we call these a survey, but ours is slightly different in that within the several questions that are there, I think there are 6. There are just a couple that, if, for example, you would like us to do the profile benchmarking report that Laura mentioned, you know, with you and your team, then just tick question 6. And I think question 5 is just really if you'd like us to come and have a chat with you about employee advocacy and what that could look like for you and your business. Again, just give that a little tick and you'll hear from us shortly. We obviously don't want to kind of impede on your time, so just please let us know and we will then happily get in touch. But once again, thank you so much. It really has been a pleasure, and I hope that you've enjoyed the session and found it useful.